Well, I can't believe I'm saying this. A, the transfer window, ladies and gents, is over. And B, I actually quite enjoyed it. Now, this video, as you can probably tell by me putting this little muffy thing on, has no structure whatsoever. It's not been planned what we're going to talk about, other than it's going to be a nice, relaxed, calm debrief of the last few months that have been absolutely non-stop for you guys, for me, and mainly for Richard Hughes and Liverpool, because 8 players have come into the club. 4 million have left the club. They've spent £446 million, and they've raised pretty much half of that in sales. The outlay is massive. The pressure, yeah, fair enough. The pressure is on because they have spent a lot of money. But what a mad summer it's been. It's just absolutely mental. And yeah, as I say, we're just going to run through a few of the things that I heard along the way. Recap all the way back to when I first started this YouTube channel. And I sat there, one of the very first videos I said, this would be the dream summer for Liverpool. And you sort of say, at the start of every summer, whoever you support really in the Premier League, you'll say, this will be my dream summer. I want a striker, a left back, a midfield, whatever fans say. You guys all told me the main priority would be a left back to upgrade on Andy Robertson, a right back to replace Trent Alexander-Arnold, and a striker because Darwin Núñez wasn't good enough. Luis Diaz played there a lot last season, and it seemed like, well, actually, to be fair, at the time it was 50-50. And you guys, I don't really think any of you really would have been asking for Wirtz because it sounded quite unrealistic at the time, I have to say. Florian Wirtz to Liverpool. If you said that 6 months ago, it would just be a bit pie in the sky. The same, really, about Alexander Isak to Liverpool. To think that Liverpool have signed both Florian Wirtz and Alexander Isak in one window is absolutely mental. It's mind-blowing. I don't really play FIFA that much these days because I am busy and probably more realistically I'm old and boring. But I used to play it a lot back in the day. And if I play career mode, I'd try and make it realistic. If I went into school and my mate had told me that they'd signed Florian Wirtz and Alexander Isak, then I would say, well, who are they? Because it is 2013 when I'm in school, first of all. No, but if it was now, I would say that is just unrealistic. How can you do that? It's so boring. You're just going to win every game. How can that be fun? Make it more realistic. It's not realistic signing Wirtz and Isak in the same window, and Kirkez and Frimpong and Ekitike and whoever else, Leonie Mamardashvili, Freddie Woodman. Even that's not realistic. Freddie Woodman, like what? He played like nearly every game for Preston in the Championship last season. Now he's just Liverpool's third choice keeper. Mad window. But it has the opportunity, in all seriousness, to be an era-defining window for Liverpool. And I think about previous good windows. I've done some digging this morning. In the Premier League, there was a few for Sir Alex and United back in the day, but they seemed to win the title every year that you couldn't really say, oh, wow, this was what drove them to the title. And as I said last week on a tweet, going off on a bit of a tangent here, Man United, every single year seem to win the title. Every single summer, they seem to sign the best players. To see their demise now, and I know they won at the weekend, but to see them lose to Grimsby, it never gets old, does it? Anyway, tangent. What was I saying? I can't remember. But, that was it. Best windows. As you see, these videos are not structured at all. Probably won't even edit out bits like that. But, okay, I'm going to have to edit that out, aren't I? Because I keep forgetting what I'm going to say. But, no, in all seriousness, United had some good windows. Man City had some good windows, thinking when Yaya Toure, David Silva. 2017, Kyle Walker, Bernardo Silva, Ederson, Benjamin Mendy, less said about him, the better. But windows where 3 of them went on to be legends, won 4, 5, 6, 7 Premier League titles. Toure and Silva, 2 of the top 5 players in the club's history. Good windows. Chelsea, Cesc Fabregas, Diego Costa, Felipe Luis maybe, in the same window. What a window that was. Fired them onto the title. They haven't won a title. They've only won 1 title, since then. So what can you really say about that? This one is the sort that we may look back on in 10 years and say, wow. Because Florian Wirtz may have just, he may still be playing because he's that young, but Isak may have just retired, let's say. Wirtz may still be playing. Maybe he's left Liverpool by then. Frimpong could have had a really good 5, 6, 7 years at Liverpool. Kirkes could have been the starting left-back for 8, 9 years. Ekitike could be, we don't know too much about Ekitike yet because we didn't watch him every week last season, let's be honest. And if you do say you watched Ekitike last week, every season last year, I got that sentence right, messed up, did I? But I was going to say, if you do, it's like backseat barriers infiltrated my mind. I don't know why I always blame him. But if you claim that you watched Ekitike every week last year, then you didn't, did you? You're just lying. Or you're weird. Anyway, carry on. Ekitike could, 10 years of service for Liverpool, could be one of the best strikers in Premier League history. Who knows? Statistically, one of these signings will be a flop. That's just how it works. Liverpool have a huge hit rate with signings, but they're not all going to work. But anyway, most of them probably will. Knowing what we know about Liverpool and their data and what they think about Ekitike, which we'll come on to in a minute if I remember, what they think about Isak, they've liked him for donkey's years, what they know about Wirtz, how they, the Kirkes and Frimpong deals looked like they were going to happen from about February onwards. I remember when someone put on my lap, maybe even December, January time, Frimpong's coming to Liverpool, they said. I checked it out with Liverpool sources, no chance. Fair enough. Kirkes was linked with Liverpool from about November onwards. The point I'm trying to make is this window is not just happened by chance. It's been in the planning. It's been in the pipeline for months, if not years. If you look at last summer, no spending apart from Fede Chiesa. The summer before, okay, big summer. But this summer has been in the works for a while. Liverpool have wanted to do a big outlay this summer for ages. I was told in January that they were planning a big summer. I wrote in my column 4, 5, maybe 6 players. I looked at the replies to that the other day. Everyone's saying, no chance, FSG that. Liverpool were always planning a big summer this summer, They have recruitment meetings where they said realistically 5 big players would be the goal. I'm not sure even then if they thought they could do both Wirtz and Isak. I thought even when they signed Ekitike, I'm not sure they thought they could do both him and Isak. They were offered a lot of forwards that they didn't want. They looked around. There was a bit of talking about mid-June, and this was coming straight from the horse's mouth, as it were, in terms of what people told me that the likes of Edwards and Ward and Hughes and Woodfine have been saying. What people were telling me they were saying was they want a versatile forward, and they're not going to sign a number 9 for the sake of it if there isn't a number 9 on the market. But they did like Ekitike, and that went back a while. They first made Eintracht Frankfurt aware of that quite a long time ago. Slot spoke to Ekitike himself quite a long time ago. So that one was in the works for a while. But the Isak and Wirtz ones, I don't think that it was necessarily clear-cut that they were going to sign both of them, definitely. The Wirtz one, it's that old buzz phrase, market opportunity. They knew that he was available, but I think Liverpool had a strong feeling that he was going to go to Bayern Munich. If he wasn't going to go to Bayern Munich, I think they thought that Pep and Man City had the upper hand in the negotiations for that one. But Slot spoke to Wirtz, Virgil van Dijk spoke to Wirtz, Richard Hughes went over to see Wirtz's family, put a dossier on the table in front of him, and basically said, this is what we're going to do with Florian Wirtz. This is how we're going to make him into a Ballon d'Or winner. This is how we're going to create a legacy for him at Liverpool that makes him a legend. And the Wirtz family thought, do you know what? That is exactly what we want. There's a few question marks in the City negotiation because they thought, well, Pep will just leave after this season or next season. Whenever Pep leaves, they thought that would be the case. Florian Wirtz also thought about Bayern Munich and thought, if I leave Leverkusen for Munich, I'll be hated by the Leverkusen fans. If I leave Leverkusen for Liverpool, I'll be a legend in two places, potentially. And who knows, maybe in 10 years he can go back to Leverkusen and see out his career there. I still think after 3 games, I still would stand by the fact that I think Wirtz will be the standout player of this season. I think that maybe he needs to bulk up a bit, but just when he starts ticking, when he's fully fit, he's going to be incredible. When he's linking up with Alexander Isak, who, by the way, might be a few weeks before he's fit, he's going to be a joy to watch. They're both going to be a joy to watch. Kirkes and Frimpong and Ekitike too. They're all just absolutely brilliant signings. And it's just still crazy to think of the whole situation with Marc Guehi yesterday. I think the window is a 9.75 out of 10. And the only way it would have been a 10 is if they got Guehi in as well. I don't think it's a huge loss. I think actually if any of these deals had fallen through this window, you know, if an Isak or an Ekitike had fallen through, you'd say they look really light in the attacking department. And the same with the 2 fullbacks. Guehi, the fact it's fallen through is not a catastrophe because they have 4 defenders. But I do genuinely think that Marc Guehi is a 70, 80 million pound player. And I do think he would have been, and probably more likely than not, will eventually be a brilliant signing for Liverpool. Whether they sign him in January, it'll have to depend on whether it makes financial sense, because effectively they'll be paying money for 6 months' worth of a player. But who knows? Maybe Joe Gomez suffers an injury. Maybe Ibra Konate. Maybe anyone can suffer an injury, let's be honest. Maybe Leone just isn't ready to play regular minutes in the Premier League because it's a different league. He has to adapt to it. That's not to suggest that I've heard anything that could suggest that, because look at the size of him. He's a beast. He's a machine. He's only 18, but he looks like, you know, he's there, isn't he, physically? But Guehi is gutted, as we know. We've seen that video that went around. Not actually verified if that's true. I know where it came from and how it came into being. But Guehi is gutted, and I feel terrible for Marc Guehi because he was promised his dream move to Liverpool where he could win the Premier League, the Champions League this season. Even if he gets that move next summer, which will obviously be great in the long run, he will still probably look back and think, wow, maybe what have I missed out on in not being there for that year, or you know, even that 6 months if he does come in January. And what's to say that Guehi could play again for Palace? What's not to say that he breaks his leg in that first game back, you know? Or who knows, like Glasner could walk anyway. Palace could tonk it this season. They've lost the best player in Eze as well. Mateta might not hit the heights he hit last season. Adam Wharton might not stay fit. The likes of all sorts of players, Henderson, Munoz, Sar's injured, I've just seen today as well. They might tonk it and just be absolutely awful. I'm not saying they're going to be in a relegation battle. And obviously it'll still be great for Guehi to lead Palace into Europe in the Conference League. But he's been denied a move to the title favourites where he could potentially get a medal. And when he looks back in 10 years when he's retired, it might be a huge regret. Nothing of his own doing. So I feel sorry for Guehi today. And I do hope that Liverpool sort of make a little under-the-table gentleman's agreement with him to come back and sign him, because that deal was agreed, the personal terms were agreed, the contract length was agreed, the medical had taken place. It would be a shame if they said to him this time next summer, we don't want you anymore, mate. So let's hope for Guehi's sake that he does end up at Liverpool. But we're 15 minutes into this video, so I'm going to wrap up in a minute. But it's just the things that I hear about Richard Hughes is the last thing I want to talk about, really. Last summer, everyone was saying, what does he do? Now it is, when does he ever sleep? Well, I hope he's having a day off today. Let's put it fair. Because he has been the mastermind behind this window for Liverpool. As I said, the best transfer window in my lifetime, definitely. Actually, the only one that runs it close, Real Madrid 2009. Go and look it up. Cristiano Ronaldo, Kaká, Xabi Alonso, and Karim Benzema. Whew, what a window that is. Well, I mean, in truth, at the time, that is a very good window, actually. I was going to say at the time, we might not have known that. And really, in truth, you can only really say a window's good when you look back in hindsight. So we'll only know really in 2 years. As I said, one of these players, all of these players could flop, but I don't think they will. Maybe one of them will. But Wirtz looks incredible. We're going to take away 3 games. We're not basing it on 3 games. Isak looks like one of the best strikers in the game. Top 2 or 3, certainly. Kirkes, brilliant on Sunday against Arsenal, much better after 2 iffy games, has to be said. Frimpong, injured at the moment, so we can't make a judgment on him. Mamadashvili, we haven't seen him yet. Leone, we haven't seen him yet. And Ekitike has hit the ground running, to say the least. And even though he didn't score on Sunday, I thought he was very good again. Certainly when you compare him to Victor Gyökeres, he looks like he's running with sliders on his feet. Don't say I don't have any props for these videos. But Hughes, everything that people say is just, he's like cold as ice in the dressing room. Everything was done on his terms. He's bullied people into negotiations. He's bullied clubs into selling players for cheaper than they wanted or paying more than they wanted to for Liverpool's players. He's the mastermind behind this window. Liverpool have won the transfer window. They've already won the Premier League last season. How many more Premier Leagues can they win? Well, let's wait and see on that. How many Champions Leagues can this squad together win under Arne Slot? Arne Slot doesn't have a rich history in European competition. He got final to the Conference League final, fair enough. But he's not proven it on the Champions League stage yet. But he's now got the squad to do so. He was a penalty kick or 2 away from beating the eventual champions last season. So I think they'll have a very, very, very good chance of winning the Champions League this season. And it's fair to say the pressure is on, because non-Liverpool fans expected nothing last season. Even Liverpool fans didn't expect much. Now, everyone in the country, everyone in Europe will have seen this transfer window, and they'll be expecting Liverpool to win trophies. Maybe not all of them, but they'll certainly be the favourites in all of those competitions. So the pressure's on. But Liverpool have got an almighty chance of doing well this season, based on the current squad, plus the transfers they've made, and the fact they have the absolutely brilliant Arne Slot in the dugout, and the whole culture in the building, the fan base. Everything points in the direction of Liverpool doing well this season. And overall, when I look back on the transfer window, it has the chance to be era-defining. So this is my last transfer video of this summer. I'll be back, of course, with usual videos. We may well even look ahead to future targets, maybe. I don't want to look too far into the future. But I've heard a few whispers about who they may look for and what positions they may look for next summer. So that could be a video in the future. But I hope you've enjoyed the content this summer over the transfer window. I hope you've enjoyed all the videos, all the tweets, everything that I've put out. And keep commenting. Remember to like, subscribe. I try to reply to you guys as much as I can on social media and on YouTube, to be fair. I'm going to have a couple of days off after this mad window, because I was up at 6 yesterday and I was still working at 10:30 and I didn't have a break really at all. I did have a beer after the deadline passed though. But it's been good fun. Hope you've enjoyed it. I'll be back with another video about something else. If you have anything that wants covered in these videos, by the way, especially now the window's shut, let me know and I'll do my best. But until next time, have a good one all.